How would I describe today's guest? Well, his name is Brent Heinze, and I would describe him as a Renaissance man. He's a psychotherapist. He's written multiple books. He's a community builder. He organizes things around Palm Springs to bring gay men together. He works a lot in all of these areas with gay men. He was Mr. Colorado Leather, and he's a musician. He's currently working on a musical. So yeah, I'd say Renaissance man. It was a lively discussion, and I think you're going to enjoy it. Greetings, Wilkinson here. Today my guest is Brent Heinze. And who is he, you ask? Okay, he's a lot of things. He's a therapist. He was an editor on a publication. He works with music. He runs a nonprofit, a whole bunch of stuff. So first of all, say hi to everybody.
Hey.
What's the main things you do? What did I miss?
I know. It's so funny. It sounds like, actually it's funny. There's, I've heard that a lot. It's like, wow, you do so much stuff. And it's like, it's not all at once. That's kind of the cool thing is that, having a selection of things to work on keeps me kind of engaged and entertained. So I'm a psychotherapist for my profession, but yeah, the writing, the creativity, I'm a musician and doing things for the community. That's kind of the nonprofit work. So it's all a lot of fun. I think it all kind of comes together in kind of a really happy gay life for me. So
you started your life on the East Coast, correct?
Yeah, I grew up in Pittsburgh.
And then went to Colorado?
Yeah, and my dad moved us to Colorado, and I'm a Colorado kid, snowboarding and hiking.
How old were you when you went to Colorado?
Oh, God, I was a kid. I was pretty young. It seems like I've always been there. To go back to Pittsburgh is fun, and I think it will always be home. But, I did most of my experience in Colorado, with friends and school and all that. So did
you come from there to Palm Springs directly, or was there another pit stop somewhere in California?
Oh, no, it was all over Colorado. It was.
No, I mean from here. Did you go from there to straight to Palm Springs, or
yeah?
No, San Francisco first or something.
I thought about it, but it's like with everyone. You go to San Francisco for the first time being a gay kid, and you're like, "This is it. We are going to go." And then you realize that finances will be tough and gray, wet, and wet and cold. Yeah, I'd much rather go there to visit. Palm Springs seems like home, though. I think this is the forever place.
How long have you been here? 7 years now. Cool.
Time flies.
It's about a year longer than me.
Oh, it's amazing. I've never experienced anything like this before.
What do you like most about
it? A lot of people, it sounds kind of cheesy to talk about the community, but it's true. I've got friends that have become family and just, to be in a culture that's so fun and vibrant. It's not always party. It's, I've had amazing dinner parties and, seeing people out on the street and, it's fantastic.
You're a community builder, though.
I am. I love,
So it's probably, in some ways, it's probably a little easier meeting people.
Kind of. I was extremely shy. I was a huge introvert until I was maybe about 31. And I really decided that I kind of wanted to try something else.
So you literally switched yourself?
Oh, seriously.
Wow.
I was in an 8.5-year relationship, and right as I turned 30, I was in the middle of graduate school, and we broke up. He was a drug addict and an ass, and I just kind of went, oh my God, if I don't learn how to connect with people, I might be alone, and that's really scary. So yeah, that's why I think a lot of the social skills building is kind of like any other kind of skill acquisition. You figure out you want to try something, and you practice, and you fall on your head a few times. But that's why it's important to go put on a crash helmet and some knee pads and just kind of go for it.
Right.
Yeah, it was really interesting to, you talk about community building. I think I've had a lot more fun not being so freaked out by people and just being engaged. So it's a gift, but, I've worked my ass off for it.
What is your nonprofit?
It's called Perspective Shift. It was originally started a zillion years ago just to support gay men's journey through life. And so I think the first big project that we did was when PrEP came out, we did the first statewide campaign in Colorado, not only for navigation, but also for information and getting that out. Yeah, we've done all kinds of stuff with different lecture series, stuff like that.
So that started while you're in Colorado?
Yeah, it's been, God, 15 years maybe.
But you're still involved. It's still alive, right?
Yeah. It's kind of a one-guy show. My husband is really integral in doing technology and really, he's such an amazing support just in everything that I do. So, I'm kind of the spotlight guy, but what's the line behind every great man is a great hubby or something like that?
What's a little twist on the normal?
Yeah,
one,
I guess.
I get it.
That's okay.
So you're gay?
Yes.
Oh my God, I never would have figured that out.
As far as I know.
Except for all the pink outfit you have on.
Well,
Just
yeah,
kidding.
right. No, the tutu gave it away.
Yeah.
Damn it.
He's dressed in black, people. He's not.
Oh my God.
He's not dressed like that.
You know what? I've worn black since, I probably started wearing black in about 6th grade and never went back.
Yeah, when I was in Seattle, my whole entire wardrobe was gray, black, and maybe a little blue. That's it.
Everyone wants a splash of color.
When I went to Paris, everybody's in black, and I loved it. It was like, oh yeah, this is cool.
Right.
But now I buy bright shirts down here because it's Palm Springs.
Well, it's funny. My mom's like, they do make other colors, right? Like, yeah, I know.
So what is your, what's the social group thing you started?
Oh, so out here, after moving to Palm Springs, I of course you meet tons of people. And so one of the things I kept on hearing from a lot of my single friends was that everyone out in Palm Springs and in the Coachella Valley was partnered. And for single guys, it's awful. And I said, well, I know a bunch of single guys. They're like, yeah, but well, then where are they? So I just thought this could be a fun little program. So it started with a little Facebook group called Palm Springs Single Guys. And now it's grown to have, we do a monthly social at the Camelot Theater, and it's very chill. It's just a couple hours a month. And, but the group on Facebook's grown to over 2,000 members who I verify are at least in the area and at least say that they're single, so it's a resource. I'm always encouraging people to kind of reach out and just, say, hey, I'm looking for people to go on a hike with who's available, who's interested, or who wants to go coffee, and sometimes people post, sexy, thirsty pictures and say, hey boys, come and get it.
Within Facebook's guidelines, of course.
Well, of course. Yeah. A little nip slip's okay. We all like good advertising, so it's fine.
Of all the things you're involved in right now, what's your favorite?
Oh God. It's hard. Well, actually, so, counseling is my passion. There's an opportunity to actually do professionally what I love to do. So I love that. Music's probably my biggest thing right now. I work less than 20 hours a week on counseling, but I work way over 40 hours a week on music. I've got 3 music projects and I'm writing a musical right now. So it's taken up time, but it's super fun. I get to be kind of antisocial and sit in my room and
you're antisocial.
Well, a little. Well, I don't know.
Come on.
It's funny because, you've got introvert, extrovert, and then ambivert. And ambivert is kind of in the middle. And it depends on the situation and the mode that you're in. COVID really knocked me on my ass. I was feeling wonderfully social being here. And the year and a half of intensity with COVID, I started to come back out, and I think I lost focus on some of those skills that I had learned. And I think a lot of us are really struggling to get back to feeling as comfortable and confident as we were. Yeah, I mean, I think people look on the outside and look at me and go, oh yeah, he's fine, no big deal. I have to say, since going back out, I really have to kind of rile myself up to go.
Go back out where?
To like bars and events. I still haven't gone to big, huge events. One of my bands,
because of COVID or because of
kind of because of COVID. You get conditioned to not necessarily want to be around a zillion people. Granted, I think there's a lot of us that are like, hey, let's go to Puerto Vallarta, let's go to Folsom, let's go to all these places that are really packed with guys and making out and doing all this stuff, which is totally fun. But for that time period, it was also extremely dangerous. So yeah, I mean, to go back and forth. Now, that being said, I had a buddy that was visiting over the weekend from Seattle, and I went out 3 different days to bars and clubs and had a great time, and running into all these people, and they're like, we miss you. That was nice. So I guess there's part of me that, I really still do enjoy it, but I don't think it comes as naturally as before COVID.
So your husband is Todd?
Todd.
What do you like about Todd?
Oh, yeah. What's so funny? We have the most unromantic beginnings of our relationship. I think a lot of people like want that Disney princess version where you look across the room and you lock eyes and you fall in love, or you just can't be without that person.
And the music starts playing.
Right. Oh,
blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
It's beautiful. No, it was funny. We met online. I was living in Colorado. He was in Dallas, and he moved to Denver, and we just had coffee and we just hung out. It was probably about 2-3 months into just relaxing together, like never talking about dating. I introduced him as my boyfriend at a party, and he just laughed and kind of said, "Do you want to talk about this?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, we hang out all the time. I think you're amazing." And he said, "Yeah." Like, so we're going to date?
Yeah, I am amazing.
I was like, I know. No, he's great. And it's funny, like a year into our relationship, we bought a house together, which is ridiculous. My mom was like, "What are you doing?"
So you were just boyfriend stage at that point?
Yeah.
And bought a house together?
Yeah. Well, it was just, when it's right, it's right. And we'd both been in long-term relationships before, and, we're mature. We have, we're both responsible and, have our own lives and our own interests. So it was actually really nice.
Is he your age or younger? Older,
oh, he's a couple years older.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm into older guys. No.
Grr. No, you're in the right town.
Yeah, right. Right. Is that seriously? Oh no. I'm more go for intelligence and energy and personality, but he's beautiful and he's amazing and so smart and so kind. But he's also ultimately supportive. I'm a dreamer and creative. And so he just basically goes, "Okay, well, what can I do to help?" He doesn't, he really wants me to leave him alone most of the time, honestly. He just wants to, oh yeah. Actually, it's funny, over COVID, he's such an introvert, but even COVID made him go, "Oh my God, I miss hanging around people."
Really?
So, oh yeah, it got to that point. No, but COVID, I worked on music and stuff, and he found a passion for Lego. So now we've got this Lego city that he's designed, and he's
Are they still as expensive as they used to be?
Yeah. Scary.
I remember when my 3 sons were younger, it was like, oh my God, that's expensive.
Oh, it is. It's expensive. You know what though? His Lego investment did so well financially. Like the collectible market did way better than my retirement plan. So, I can make fun of him all day long, but at the end of the day,
he didn't make money on Lego.
Oh yeah, no, but they've all gone up in price, and they're all collectibles.
Okay.
Yeah, legitimately, it's kind of a strange thing, but there's certain things that did really well, even with interest rates rising. Certain things like baseball cards do really well, which is kind of weird. But
so does he have a Lego room?
He does. So
no.
we agreed. So we agreed when we got together that all of my music stuff and my toys and all these weird things that I collect could be in one room, but not strewn throughout the house. And so he works from home, and so his office is pretty big. But I'm like, okay, so the same thing exists. Your Lego cannot move beyond this room. Okay. So yeah, it's fine. It's really impressive. Almost everyone that comes over to our house, they're like, "Holy crap, this is amazing!" And then he gets to talk about it for 10 or 15 minutes.
Did he build a Lego desk for himself?
He did. Well, actually, no. He has really. No. Actually, he's really funny. So some of them are prefab, but some of them he's designed on his own. There's a CAD system that you can build Lego things. So he built me a stadium with a stage for a Lego band to play on.
Oh wow!
He just did
So can you buy just building blocks separate? They're not in a kit?
No, it's actually pretty cool. You can design a thing, and then it gives you a list, and you can just go to this website and order from people from all over the world.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a whole commodity. It's this Lego economics. It's so weird.
These are the little Lego things, right? They've got different sizes, don't they?
Oh, I think they're all scale. They're all the same.
I've seen some really big ones. Maybe that's a toddler toy.
Like Duplo or something. Yeah, but he's done... now, his latest thing is he's done a four-story bathhouse. So I don't think that's what the designers of Lego ever intended, for someone to do something kinky with them, but that's Todd. So, that's, we all have our creativity in different ways. Everything's great.
Let's talk about gay men.
Ooh, I don't know anything about gay guys.
What percentage of your clientele in your therapy are gay guys?
98.
98. Well, Palm Springs.
Yeah.
Low.
Well, it is. It's funny. I don't. I wouldn't not take non-gay male clients, but I think as far as a community, I think we need the support, and it's a cultural group. So I would not go into another cultural group and think that I could effectively counsel them, because I don't know the culture as well. As far as a gay guy, I'm pretty aware of a lot of what we at least potentially struggle with.
There must be categories of stuff. So what are the main things that gay guys deal with?
I think really the biggest one is self-worth, and self-image. I mean, not only in our bodies, but also in our accomplishments. Can we date? Can we get laid? Can we have friendships? So a lot of the confidence is there, but then depending on how we grew up, if there was trauma, fear of being found out, fear of being kicked out, it depends on like what kind of discrimination we got, either from our families, from religion, politics, other kids. It can really cause a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
So,
well, from my experience on here, a super high percentage of guys had religious backgrounds, and that was like a big problem.
Oh yeah. I think that for most of us, I think that's the first time that we heard that being gay was bad.
Right.
It was a sin. You're going to hell. I don't think a lot of parents sit down with their kids and say, if you're gay, you're going to hell. I think you hear it secondhand. And, people and then you hear about things like HIV, and there's fear and all that. And then you realize a lot of times you hear these messages, and you're also figuring out, you're like, hey, I'm definitely not a heterosexual. It doesn't matter, if it's either gender or sexuality. Sometimes people just recognize that they're different.
Right.
And so, when you realize that you're different, that can be terrifying. It doesn't necessarily just mean, with who you're attracted to.
Right.
So it's, in that can cause massive scars. So a lot of gay guys will just, let's just talk about queer people in general. It's just kind of a generalization. I mean, we grow up feeling the way that we do, and then, we're expected to kind of act normally in society. And then we get into relationships, and, a lot of instabilities happen. And depending on how you date and who you date, that can be really tragic. Yeah, there's a lot.
So in your opinion, what percentage of gay couples are monogamous, do you think?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, let's see. That's a tough one because, there's so many definitions. I mean, you and I have conversations before about all this terminology, and it's funny because especially reading like profiles and stuff online, people can come up with some really odd terms.
To give an example, I'll tell you what I told you
funny.
earlier.
It's really
so
funny.
I was on Scruff, and this guy in his profile said, pertaining to himself and the guy he's with, he says, monogamously coupled, play together or separately.
Right.
And I went kind of like, huh?
Right. Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff you're talking about.
Well, it's weird. And sometimes people don't think about what they write, or it makes sense to them in their head. One thing I talk to a lot with clients and other people who are working to connect better and maybe online is writing and rewriting your profile, looking for things that work in other people's profiles, or like asking your friends to read it. It's great. I mean, it's kind of like editing a book. I mean, just,
right.
So anyway, back to the question about monogamy. As long as relationships exist and everyone involved is okay with the dynamics, it's great. So, true monogamous couples, I don't know. I have no idea. But there's a term I heard a long time ago called monogamish.
Dan Savage.
Yeah. And it's funny, but I think even beyond what he determined it to be would be, sometimes couples play together. Sometimes they don't disclose it. Sometimes, it's just being in the same room or the same bathhouse. But then there's some that are absolutely no sexual contact outside the relationship.
But that's more few and far between.
Yeah. What I hope for people is if they're going to be doing things outside of a couple situation, to be honest and transparent about it. If, your dynamic may be don't ask, don't tell, but that's an agreement. That's fine. Like
as long as it is an agreement.
Right. If one person thinks they're in a monogamous relationship and the other person's cheating on them, then, that takes away the other person's choice to be, monogamous as well, or to not be lied to. So that's,
Well, and it kind of hurts trust a bit.
Yeah. Oh, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just tears it down a bit.
Yeah.
But a lot of times there's people's insecurity that really drives what they do or don't do.
Do you think that gay guys some of them are, especially, so you take the religious background, okay, I'm gay, now I'm in a gay relationship, that they're taking all of the norms of the hetero world and trying to, wrap that around the gay stuff? Is that what's happening?
Some of them do. I think in my 20s I had that ideal that this is my parents' gay relationship. Monogamous living.
Were your parents gay?
No. I mean, my parents are not that I know of. I mean, I don't know. Mom, are you listening to this? Like, is there something you want to tell me? Yeah, who knows? It's funny because you hear about some of these people having same-sex experiences. So you just never know. I mean, I'm super gay, but I've had intimacy with women before. So you just never know. who knows? Experimentation happens regardless.
I think when we were talking before, you said, as far as the women, you said it took you, what, 4.5 seconds?
Oh, yeah, I was totally joking. Yeah, I dated. I've been with two women, and like sexually, and I like to say I was bisexual for 4.5 seconds.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah. I mean, I tried. I tried my best. I figured if I had the potential to break my mom's heart by telling her I was gay, I should probably make sure that I was gay. And I knew pretty early.
It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, done. Bisexuality and fluidity exists. I just knew it wasn't for me. So that's okay.
So you must have come out to your mom at what age?
19. Yeah.
And she did not take it well?
No, I took her out for Chinese food. It was.
Why Chinese though?
We both love Chinese food. Oh, okay. My mom's side's Jewish. We love Chinese food. Okay. It's just it's cultural. So, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, she was not thrilled. And then like to find out later, she actually questioned, blaming herself and talking about, how we were raised and difficulties, in the family and how, and I was like, Mom, I pretty much knew when I was like 4. I had the inklings. Now I know what it was. I didn't know I was gay, but I knew something was different.
Back then.
Right. No. But yeah, I was like, Mom, I knew something was different at age 4. And I think there are a lot of people that know early on. No, but as far as like what we learn about what's good in relationships and what we should do, yeah, I mean, having this kind of white picket fence monogamy, I'm going to live in the suburbs and have dogs and adopt kids. I was totally on that trajectory. So in a way, I'm not really grateful to my ex who was such a jerk and lied to me and all that stuff, but it forced me to kind of end the relationship and then go on this huge path of self-discovery, And now I'm almost 50 and I would never be here had it not been for those experiences. So a lot of people talk about trauma and it's like, well, I'm glad that happened because I wouldn't be here.
Right.
And, I'm not going to ever say that trauma is a good thing to experience, but at least I can say, I made the most of that traumatic experience and learned from it and grew. So,
well, it's always a question for me along that same line would be, because I came out late in life, was married, 3 sons. And it's like, okay, do I wish that I never got married? Well, how can I wish I never got married? I wouldn't have my sons. So how could I do that? But yet, at the same time, I miss, when I have the 25-year-old 2 gay guys staying here at my Airbnb and they're like all loving, we're going to adopt kids, just like what you're saying and all this stuff. And it's so normal for them. And that's so foreign to what I grew up with and what I believed.
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess I would fall into the category of I learned a lot from that, and now I get to have this life. But
absolutely.
Yeah, but there still is there's a tinge of remorse that I missed a lot.
Sure. Well, I think we all probably have those moments where it's like, I wish I could go back and do something different. At the end of the day, unless you have a time machine that I don't know about, we can't do it.
I'm working on it.
It'd be fun. I know, right? There was a thing online last week that I read, and it was like you got 2 choices, and one would be to go back to age 6 and with all the knowledge that you have today, or to get $10 million today. And I'm like, $10 million, bring it. I didn't even have to think about it. Like, really? I would not. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to go back and relive all that stuff. My experiences make me. And I would be different. I can't say better or worse. I'm just different. And I'm at least at a point in my life where I can say, I like my life. I like who I am. I don't have that many regrets.
Okay, well, I have a choice for you. So at the point where you were figuring out that you were gay, if you could have taken a pill that would make you straight, would you have taken that pill?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I used to I used to have conversations with myself where and I think a lot of times people wish that they would wake up straight or wake up in a different situation. I don't think that's unusual. I thought I was completely weird and strange for thinking that, but yeah, if I could have taken a pill at age 10 to be straight, I would have taken it, and that would have been awful. Because now it's funny because I look at my male counterparts who are approaching 50, who I went to high school with, and I'm going, oh God.
You don't want their life?
No. Well, and not that being gay affords you necessarily a happy life. I know a lot of very unhappy people, but I know for me, I just had to get through it and kind of learn from it and develop more self-acceptance and more power. And that's done way more for me in what I'm doing now. I love being there for people and empowering, but I also love being there for my friends. And had I not gone through the process of coming out and self-exploration, I don't think I'd be as strong as I am. And that's something that I think queer people don't get credit enough for, is that to go through this process, I think it has the potential to make us extremely strong, not only emotionally, but in our dreams and how we focus on things. Of course, we can also get into some really unhealthy things, sex and drugs, abuse, all kinds of stuff that really tear us down. But, I think showing how resilient we are is something really powerful. It's something that, you think coming out's just, especially now, our generation might say, well, it's so easy to come out now. People just expect it and it's accepted. You still have to go through your own process.
And it depends what environment you're in as well. Because if you're like I was in a Christian trap,
absolutely,
and you can be 18 right now, and you'd say, well, culturally we're all different. But yet, if you're in that, you're caught in that. You're caught in that.
Oh, absolutely.
And so you're going to have to go through the same process, even though it is 2023.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I always loved hearing the stories of like my friends that came from a household that, they come out, they have to go through that process of freaking out, and then they disclose their sexuality to their parents, and they're like, we knew. It's okay. We love you. It's like, to me, that's so beautiful. And I still get emotional when I think about that. And I'm not bitter about my situation because I'm super close. My mom's amazing. So, the fact that she had kind of a tough response, that's okay. And when I'm working with people and coming out and their support networks don't respond as favorably as they want, I really encourage to be patient to a certain point, because, sometimes it's a shock. Now if they're abusive, that's something completely else. But
well, I had somebody on here recently, and in fact, it's not even published yet. I'm editing it, but he's gay. The gentleman I was talking to, and then his son. He had one son. He was married. He tried being married for a while, and then later on, the son came out, and he was gay, and he was explaining his emotions on that and his response, and it was very much like a straight person responding, and it came down to what he thought he had in his son, and what he thought he would, the way his trajectory would be and the way his life would unfold, all like blew up in that moment.
Yep.
And so the fact that he was gay, he didn't just automatically accept everything immediately, which I thought that was very interesting.
Well, it's funny because, when you start thinking about the stages of grief that are really popular, people talk about a lot, any kind of change in the expectation can cause you to kind of go, okay, this isn't right. This is weird. It feels different. I've worked with a client who's transgender and transitioning from female to male, and the mom had a very tough response. And so the kiddo I was working with was like, well, she just needs to understand that I'm going to start going by male pronouns and all that stuff. And in talking to the mom, she was just like, I always thought her big thing was seeing her daughter walk down the aisle getting married in this big, beautiful white wedding dress. And that was a pivotal moment in their healing, because realizing that, for the kiddo who is transitioning to go, oh, mom's freaking out because it's just something different than what she wanted. She didn't hate me. It was more that it was just adjusting to a new reality.
Right.
And
the old one just collapsed.
Right. And they're super tight now. It's funny because I got an update from them. This is like 2.5 years later, and they're super tight, fully transitioned. And the mom is super cool about everything. It was just that moment of like, holy crap, what is this? And it was tough. But sometimes patience is good, and realizing that people might need to take time to process.
Some others on the program here have said that. That's like, they didn't realize the other person really needed some time.
We're talking about my husband. I think on my feet a lot, not only because of what I do professionally, but my personality. Todd takes time to process. And when we have discussions, arguments, disagreements, difference of perspective, I've had to realize I need to back off and allow him time to think and process. Because I'll be like a dog with a bone. I'll just keep on going. And the look of terror on his face, or he gets really frustrated. And I had to realize, just because my brain works a certain way, not everyone's does. And so
he's more left brain, you're more right?
We're both pretty analytical, but as far as like thinking through, I'm a lot more emotionally intact or in touch with how I feel, and he's a little bit less. So it's like, I know how I think and feel about anything. You just ask me and I'll tell you, which is why I can do stuff like this.
Right.
I think Todd's a little more cerebral, and he wants to kind of think and process about what's going on. So, I just have to cut him a little bit of slack. you know, he'll tell me, he's like, you know, back off.
Back off.
I know. I think that's the best thing in relationships is, you know, is setting boundaries. And we could talk for hours about setting boundaries, but you know, he's definitely one of those people in my life that's like, you know, Brent, you're being an ass, knock it off. And it's great. And I'm just like, just roll up the newspaper and smack me across the nose. Stop it.
Talk to me about your music.
Ooh.
You said you're writing a musical.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I've been playing piano since I was a little kid. And then I was like, I don't want to play piano anymore. I want to get into keyboards. So, because they make all these cool sounds. And I'm a kid of the 80s. Right. So, yeah, I took all the knowledge of playing piano and just started writing kind of darker dance music. And I'm big into like, you know, Depeche Mode, New Order, Skinny Puppy, stuff like that. So I love stuff like that.
Skinny Puppy.
Skinny Puppy. I know
that's a new one for me.
Oh no, they're amazing. They've been around forever. I'm actually supporting a band on tour this summer, and our first show is going to be in Vegas. It's this big festival, and I actually get to go see them and hopefully be backstage. They've been one of those bands that's just been amazing.
What do you mean supporting them? In what way?
I'm kind of like tour managing and doing some other stuff.
Okay.
I have a side project with the singer of it's called My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult. It's an industrial.
Say that slower.
My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult.
Okay.
They're pretty amazing. They're like a real seminal band in that genre. But they've been together this is a 35th year tour.
Oh wow.
And I have a side project called Darling Kandie with the lead singer named Frankie. And he said, hey, so what do you think about going on tour with us for a few months? And I was like, yeah, let's go. So I'm gonna take a little bit of time off from my Palm Springs life and go tour around.
Do you have pets?
No.
So you don't have to say, Todd, you're taking care of the dogs now.
Well, we both had animals in previous relationships, and we're like, no, we want to be able to just get up and go
on tour.
Yeah. Well, we have 2 houseplants. Todd takes care of those. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so I do that. My main project is called Probe 7. It's synth pop. I've worked with a zillion different vocalists throughout the years. I've had it since 1992. But right now it's Jason Mark, who's a filmmaker. He does a lot of adult films. He's prolific and a fun rock vocalist. So I've been working with him for about a year and a half.
So what is your musical going to be about?
Okay, so the musical, I'm super excited. Tim Raines from Palm Springs Cultural Center contacted me. It's going on almost 2 years ago, and said he had a concept for a musical, but he was having a hard time kind of fleshing out kind of the narrative. Okay. And he told me the concept, and I was instantly enthralled. And so he just laughed, and he goes, "This sounds really cool." And I'm like, I feel like I'm throwing myself at your project. I'm really sorry. I would collaborate with you in a heartbeat because I think it's really neat. And he's like, yeah. Yeah, it's set in a struggling gay leather bar, and it's kind of about family of choice versus family of origin and friendships and connection. There's a strong intergenerational story, but it's not kind of the stereotypical gay thing. It's not, I don't really, it's not based in tragedy. It's based in hopefulness. And Tim is an amazing songwriter. So he's got bits and pieces of, probably over 100 songs. Oh, wow. Some have lyrics, some don't, some have little snippets. So now we're, sometimes it's hard for us to carve out time to do it.
Right.
So I need to make it a priority. We talk about it almost every week, and then we get going on our own little projects.
So have you ever heard of Romeo and Juliet?
No.
It was a gay porn musical. It was supposed to be like the next big thing would be this is what's going to be happening now. It flopped. Okay. It did have a catchy tune though. That was from many, many years ago, but it was so funny. It's so corny.
So there's one Coach Shooting Star that our friends Hans Berlin did. And we got to see a preview of it. It actually just finished a short run in New York. It's kind of the rise and fall of a porn, personality. And it's, we got to see a preview of it. This was years ago. Uh-huh. And out of I think they maybe did like maybe 4 or 5 songs. It was at Wang's, and it was so good. It was just, I mean, quirky and funny and, you know, kind of irreverent. But that's what I kind of like about musicals. You know, you can do so much weird stuff with it. So we'll see where this goes. Sometimes you just create things and you don't know what's going to do. You don't know if someone's going to love it and pick it up. You know, you might get 20 words of encouragement, or you might get 1 million, or you might get none. So it's hard to encourage creative people to do things sometimes when they're not getting the adoration or the feedback. Yeah, it's tough. You can only do so many things for your own edification. You know, sometimes it can be tough.
Well, one of the things I love here in Palm Springs is the creative energy and all the creative people. It's like amazing here. There's so much going on.
Right.
And I love hanging with these people like you, for example, because it rubs off on you. And it's like the friction generates heat in what you're doing, I think.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
You know, when I was here for maybe 6 months, and I had a little play date with a guy, and we messed around. It was a lot of fun. And then he's like, "Oh, I write some music too." I'm like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah, come over." And he had a keyboard set up with his computer, and here's like, you know, a couple Emmys, a couple Grammys. I'm like,
no way.
What the hell?
Really?
And it was like, he's like, "Oh yeah, well, you know, I did this and this." I'm like, "This is amazing." And you're just like, "Yeah, I just kind of do this stuff."
Yeah.
I'm like,
wow,
whatever. It was hysterical. But you're right. There's creative, artistic writers, painters, you know, musicians. I love it.
I've had a ton of playwrights, authors, actors on the podcast. It's like I'm kind of wondering where the direction of it's going. It's been really interesting. What do you like most about living in Palm Springs?
You know, it sounds really cheesy that you say community, but it's true. There's so many people here that are just amazing and good characters. But one of the problems with being a kind of a tourist destination is that, you know, there's an influx of people, but that's also one of the biggest benefits. There's always, you know, potentially new people, new friendships to be made, new energy. But yeah, just the variety is so much fun. You know.
Well, plus, I mean, we have a lot of tourists, obviously, but we have a lot of regulars coming. I mean, they're constantly coming from San Diego, LA, San Francisco, and Minnesota.
Yeah, actually, I just met some guys. Yeah, I just met a few guys who were here this weekend from there. It was. It's funny. A lot of people think it's their retirement destination. It was funny when I took this to Todd about potentially getting a place here. He was like, "Well, we could think about that when we retire." I'm like, "Why don't we do it now when we both have jobs?" You know, and
right, when you can qualify and when get it.
One thing 7 years ago when
the
it was
prices go way up.
Well, yeah, 7 years ago it was still relatively affordable, and we sold at the right time in Denver, so that was great. Yeah, there's tons of people that live here full time. There's tons of people that are here regularly or have second homes, and then there's tons of people that visit. So there's always potentially something new and creative. You know, if you want party, you can have that. Sometimes people think Palm Springs is kind of a sleepy town. I'm like, well, you know, if you want the big, huge parties, cool. 2 hours away is LA on a good day. You know, or it's 6 hours away. Depends.
Right. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. But you can fly anywhere. You can do whatever. So I think the worst thing that people acclimate to is, you know, 115, 100 degrees, you know, whatever. But
yeah, that's mind over matter.
It is, but then the flip side of that.
No, I'm from Seattle, and I love 70 degrees. And when I got here, and it was 127. I mean, I was dying. You know, you get a new house, you're going to Lowe's 5 times a day.
Right.
And I would be in the air conditioning, come out, and the heat wave would hit me, and I would die. And then one day, like less than a week doing that, I just said, no, I can do this.
Right.
And I did.
Yeah. You're just like, it's hot.
It's hot. I walk to the car, the air conditioning comes on. You know,
right.
It's fine.
Yeah, I got over complaining about that. Yeah. You know, I'm fortunate enough to have a house and a car. I'm fortunate enough to not have to walk a mile with groceries or wait at a bus stop. And it's funny because usually the people that complain the most usually have the most ability to be really not affected by it very much. Right. It's like, wah. Oh. Actually, the worst thing is if it's under 70, I'm going to grab a jacket. You know, I used to be I'm a Colorado kid. It would be, you know, 45 degrees. I'm out with a sweatshirt and shorts.
Well, that's me. And then I went up, my 3 sons, we all rendezvoused, I don't know, before COVID. And, you know, like I said, 70 was great for me up there. Then I'm acclimated down here. I get off the plane. It's 84 degrees and I'm cold.
Right? It's so funny.
It's crazy.
When people look at you like you're crazy, you're like, it's not cold. Yeah. You're like, give it time. Trust me. It'll happen.
All right. So as we wind down here, keeping in mind that probably I'd say the majority of my audience is a gay audience. So what have you learned in your life? What words of wisdom? Throw some pearls at us in closing.
Wow. Words of wisdom. One of the biggest things I think that's important that I have to remind myself as on a daily basis, honestly, as well as my clients and my friends, is like all the negative things about you and stuff like that go on in your head. It's just a voice. It's old crap. It's old traumas. It's old like ways of thinking and old patterns. You just have to kind of pat them on the head and go, okay, shh, just stop. Yeah. Like this is not going to help you. I had to get over insecurity. I had to get over that I wasn't enough, and that if people got to know me, they wouldn't like me. At the end of the day, there are a lot of times I think people really try to put on what they think people want to see. But you can't keep up impressions. You can't keep up a fake persona very long. So,
just be
you. If there's some things you don't like about yourself, great. Work on changing those. But, also celebrate who you are and celebrate the things that you're good at. Maybe you're not, stereotypical, like, sexy, handsome, but you've got a great sense of humor. You've got a unique perspective on the world. You enjoy whatever hobbies. Embrace those things. Yeah, I wish I would have learned that a long time ago, but it's okay. I know it now, so that's a lot better. Yeah, happy camper. And you know what? The other pearl of wisdom is to tell people in your life that you care about and love that you love them. In the past 2 weeks, there have been 4 people in my life that have passed, and it's weird. It's really weird. It's not, every week and every month isn't like that. It was just weird. The 4th one happened last night, and I was like, holy shit. And I looked at this and it was like looking over the past 2 weeks, 4 people that I've been close to have passed. 2 really good ones, and then 2 kind of ancillary people in my life. And it was just weird. And you just legitimately never know. Right. Like one of them, we were at a restaurant 2 weeks before he passed, and we were cutting up and laughing and giving each other crap from across the tables. And, so the other thing is, like, don't wait. If you want to go hang out with somebody, do it. If you want to talk to somebody, do it. If you're making plans to go do something, do it. Because you never know. You might have a heart attack. You might get hit by a bus.
Right.
The person may decide to move away. Just don't put off to tomorrow what you can really do today. So get off your butts. Do some stuff.
Good words.
Yeah.
Hey, this has been fun. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All
This
right.
is great.
Have a great day.
You too.